Saying that Emmanuel Macron has said there is no silver bullet to stop the boats. Well, while they're inside enjoying their silver service, literally today, 350 illegal immigrants have arrived on the shores of Britain. And we exclusively revealed on GB News yesterday, if you recall, 1.25 million illegal immigrants arrived in European Union member states last year alone, and they're all being funneled towards our shores. Now, on that same point, more than 15,000 small boat migrants have crossed the Channel so far this year alone. GB News can exclusively reveal the figure was reached after a further 315 migrants made that illegal journey today. And it follows another tragedy in the Channel just hours earlier when one migrant drowned and another 71 were rescued after their boats began deflating off the French coast near Calais. And I can now show you exclusive radar footage of that journey. So on your screen here, you can see Border Force Ranger, that's a British vessel, leaving Ramsgate into French waters there, where it circles for quite some time. This is about 7 p.m. yesterday evening. This is where that craft was deflating. One died in this tragedy. 71 were then picked up. And as you can see shortly, the Border Force Ranger vessel, bear in mind this is a British vessel, now goes to Calais. It's literally performing the service of the French Coast Guard. Where is the French Coast Guard? Border Force Ranger here performing that task. Now, the French, well, they're very happy to bring the dinghies halfway so we take them home. And now here we are last night in that terrible tragedy, one dead, 71 in the water. British vessels taking them back to France. Well, at least they went back to France, I guess. Now, it has also been reported that up to 90,000 migrants who are set for deportation to Rwanda are now to be fast-tracked to claim asylum under the new Labour government. Immigration caseworkers could soon begin processing claims of people threatened for removal to the East African country when the Home Secretary introduces this new legislation. So from Rwanda to the red carpet. Let's speak now to the Research Director at the Centre for Migration Control, Robert Bates. Rob, simply astonishing that not a single flight took off with people who were forced to go to Rwanda. 2 went voluntarily. And now 90,000 earmarked for deportation to Rwanda. They can simply claim asylum and stay in Britain. Rob Bates, quite simply, what message does that send out to the people smugglers?
Well, both sides of the Uni Party worked very hard on this one together. Obviously, the Conservatives' failure over successive years has led to this position where Labour are now picking up the baton, and the few news stories that you were just covering there seems to suggest that they haven't quite appreciated the scale of the problem and are making a bit of a fudge of it. The decision to allow effectively amnesty to tens of thousands of those that would have been earmarked for Rwanda is essentially putting a huge green light on the White Cliffs of Dover and saying to those migrants that have reached the shores of northern France that you're absolutely entitled to come on over, and we will do absolutely nothing to deport you or to tackle your presence in this country. And I think the British public are going to be watching the way Labour handle this situation over the next few weeks and months, especially as they cozy up further and further into the European embrace, and think that they perhaps haven't appreciated how seriously the British public treat this issue.
And Rob Bates, just to explain, GB News viewers can now see on-screen exclusive footage sent to me at GB News of boats arriving this morning. That was the rescue mission from last night. The same Border Force Ranger vessel there that was picking up and taking the vessel that capsized to France. We'll go back now. This is the same vessel, Border Force Defender there, rolling into Calais this morning. This is shortly after 9:30 this morning. 108 were on that one vessel alone, totalling 315 today. Rob Bates, the weather forecast looks perfect sailing conditions for the next few days or even week ahead. Back to this 90,000 total, though, Rob. The Refugee Council has announced that they expect 60,000 of them to be able to have the right to remain in the UK. Of course, all of those 60,000 who came here illegally will be able to claim housing, benefits, healthcare, and even the right to work. What does this say to the British public, would you say, Rob Bates? We voted in election after election after election to take back control.
It shows absolute contempt. It shows absolute contempt. I would argue the figure will probably be slightly more than 60,000, owing to the fact that the process is being so expedited and fast-tracked that we'll simply end up with caseworkers completely folding at the first semblance of a legal challenge from these asylum seekers' legal representatives, and ultimately the figure will be a lot higher than that. I think what we're seeing here from the Labour Party is a pitch to try and take the pressure off themselves and to present it as a European-wide problem. I think that's definitely what Keir Starmer is trying to do today, and this idea of a reset with the French is a bit rich, given that we haven't really actually had a relationship with the French on this issue over the last few years. You know, we've been very keen to send them hundreds of millions of pounds, but they seem to be doing absolutely nothing to actually help us tackle our illegal migration crisis. So I think a lot of voters that voted for Brexit will be very concerned about the drift that we're seeing back towards Europe, and then a lot of us who are equally concerned about the crisis on our borders will be very concerned, because the closer we work with Europe, the closer we'll end up on the peripheries, if not at the very heart of reallocation programs, and having to take a fair share of those that land on the shores of the Mediterranean as well. So it's an absolute cacophony of mess at the moment.
And Rob, bearing in mind we broke on this programme yesterday, 1.25 million illegal immigrants arrived in European Union member states last year alone. The European Union can't control its own borders. So why on earth would they be interested in doing a deal, or how could they deliver on any form of deal with the United Kingdom to lessen the flow towards us when they can't stop the flow going into their own member states?
Well, I guess that my sense of fair play would dictate that if we are spending them hundreds of millions of pounds to do a job, that they would actually try and put some effort into delivering on that. That clearly doesn't seem to be the case. And you are absolutely right. Europe seems to be switching on to the scale of its problem, and you see a lot of countries now lurching further towards the right as a result of this issue. Just at the same time, we seem to have gone the complete opposite direction. So I think, unfortunately, we seem to be at a soft touch just at the time when European capitals are going to be looking for someone to pile all their problems onto, and unfortunately, it's going to come and bite us in the backside.
OK, Robert Bates, Research Director at the Centre for Migration Control, thank you very much for joining us today on GB News.